Swordsmanship Hoa paint does not simulate Hoa tomorrow, but it is the Hoa sun sword that makes the flower bloom tomorrow. Middle buttocks, closed eyes. Feel the energy surge in your body. It's not tomorrow. It's not a flower. It's about flowers. We're just repainting. Tomorrow's flowers are blooming on the flower paint only. If there is a new life, can bloom at the tip of this sword. It doesn't matter what flower it is. It doesn't have to be tomorrow. It doesn't have to be 24 hours. Swordsmanship flower. Even at the tip of the sword of 7 tomorrow, the flower will bloom tomorrow. That's the origin of the sword. That's what those who carry the name Hoa Sun must be engraved in the heart. But those who do not recognize that truth, but only attracted by the beautiful and vibrant, will only sink forever into that glittering swamp. That's it. Just like the current Kim Long. Keep your eyes closed and look closely. See how your sword will fall. You will have forever engraved the image of Sun Nam's sword, has been teary and red by my sword, cut off in the ring. Hey! Every time I raise my sword, that scene will reappear in your mind. Every time you practice, you will also unconsciously follow this image. Your hands are ready for the next blow. You still have a lot of thoughts. And finally came even your own power. I can't help you get rid of this sword. The scene today, it will be a chain that binds you forever. This is the price that inhumans pay. You deserve to receive. Betrayed by those you trust. Even if we lose the core of the swordsmanship. Even if you are pushed to the edge by the enemy. The paint will not fail. You shouted that out loud. He remembered his honorable brother at last. What is called the world? It's the cycle of perpetual reproduction. In the Hoa Declaration, there is a religion that the ancestors of the flower wanted to touch. This is also my punishment for something that should have continued, but it can't be. So now, take a good look. This is what you've lost. Something that you have to achieve at some point. Tomorrow, the flower has used her secret. Take the carpet apricot as a pillar, and then develop the bitch flower apricot. Slash, fly. Maybe even 10 competitors are normal. You're just spanking and talking like you're teaching your kids. Converging spines will form a clade of hundreds of swords. Tomorrow, the fecal flowers will rotate with the wind and roll like a whirlwind. The sword then surrounded Kim Long. He's a tough guy who only talks for a few hours. He is amazed that this is the golden dharma of the flower. I look forward to seeing him before I hit him. BDSM bar 7 AI sword. My Hoa save. Tear down all who dare to stand in its way. Kim Long knows his fate. He realized this is the sword of Hoa Sun Sao. It's so beautiful. What's different after all? At Sao, I can't make a scene of tears. It's like that. He's out there. Where for buttocks chop horizontal, chop vertical. This is also the end of Kim Long at this game. Whether it ends well or badly is his choice. Kim Long's forehead flashed with gold and cracked raw in two and flipped a string up. It's a little down in front of the two of you fighting. Kim Long dropped his legs. Fall out in the middle of the ring. You fall down after suffering a powerful attack from the middle of the buttocks. Kim Long has fallen in front of everyone's eyes. Just look out, silly. The wall is called Kim Long. That will never be able to overcome. Has fallen down Sao. Middle buttocks pick up the sword. Step on the field. The head was destroyed by the techniques of the last battle. Middle butt said Hoa cardboard chapter this time. Before the still amazed eyes of his disciples. And even of the elders. Chinese cotton smile. You said Hoa Sun won. The screams of the disciples after hearing the victory. They screamed and jumped for joy. Hoo-hoo. The elders forced to laugh. Ha ha ha. The disciples hugged each other and shouted, we have won the South. Winning 10 games in a row is 10 games in a row. That crazy guy's won 10 games in a row. They hugged each other happily. This is the flower. Our first victory. That's the first win. Fucking male hordes. Can you see that clearly? Chung Cotton looks at people thinking, not myself, to win a battle. It will obviously be sad. But now, the nuns urge, even more delighted than the third-generation disciples. Qian is also happy. That's right, we can argue, we can disagree. But at the moment, the name of the paint is honored. Then those little emotions. It doesn't make any sense. Sat. You join the happy disciples. This is called a cult. Chan got her ass tied up and yelled at Tai, aha. Yogan grabs big cock but Chan. That crazy brother won. He beat Kim Long. Hell, 10 wins in a row. Ha 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 Chumbut, screamed leave me out. Buttocks gently touching the body. You feel a lot of pain. Long thought it was too much. He was able to wield 7 swords to the extreme. To beat Kim Long like this time. The letter is quite serious. The Chinese think that even this is good. You haven't paid enough for thinking about the future. Whenever there is an opportunity to bring the factions together. Later, the conflict with the South, also. It won't be less, but it will be enough for now. The buttocks gently remind the master. And he said, oh, this mind of mine. Then turn to everyone who stands firm. Look, General Buttocks confirmed the results. Seeing the master's nod, he understood clearly. Take a big breath. Then I said out loud, excuse me. The party this time. The victory belongs to the paint. Hoa Sun's disciples screamed happily. It's Hoa Sun's victory, ha ha ha. My ass thinks. Gypsy martial arts is about to stir up. With what's happening today. The paint will also change. You remember someone. How do you feel, master? Nothing seems to happen. Middle buttocks smile slightly. Brother is always like that. I didn't expect much either. Because you are a miser of praise. Hordes of Hoa Sun allow people towards the middle butt. Leo's coming to grab his ass. Fuck this son of a bitch. Let's get your ass up. The middle butt screeched. It hurts so much, these people. We are injured internally. The monks looked at the noisy disciples in front of them. You look smiling. Your heart thinks, long time ago we have just seen the painting of the disciples. Let's get together and have fun. I want to tell you in. Chief student, I know we can't help but talk about this joy. But not now. We should stop. Let's get this over with. Let the male stand there. That's not a good thing. The driver is a little angry. I saw you in the air. Congratulations to the master. I said this time we were lucky. The horse continued. Please feel free to rejoice, master. That's not what this is about. It's never going to happen in America. I don't know. This will be the ultimate joy of not knowing. So you have to be happy. The horse's voice soared with anger. I admit that we have lost 7 times in the General Assembly. I hope you don't forget the fact that doesn't mean Hoa-san won the South. Chief student. The truth is, the battle between the 3rd generation and the 3rd generation, it doesn't change anything. Suddenly, a voice came. This insolent guy really doesn't want to go. He looked up at the man who had just spoken. That's Hoa-san. Chung Myung disciples turned to the robot and said, even though Yo-1 is my brother, is the superior, you should at least know how to save face. You are behaving like that to see. The golf machine answered me. I'm talking now. What the hell is that to me? This kid. I'm your brother. Looking forward to seeing the Yogun, and his feet quickly stomped on the Zogun's feet. Zogun hugging his suffering feet, Chung Myung said. The superior forgets his face. And then behave like that. Do you know what the ritual is? Chinese Cotton continued to glance at the horse. That's why you said it was rude. The driver looked at the angry look. Middle ass said, Master of Science, because the fight is over. So we're here to greet the elder. Please allow. Your husband can say that. I have a lot of respect for this kid. The driver looked at his ass angrily. That son of a bitch. It's all about it. It's frustrating that he gripped the chair so tightly. But if you let it exist, it will eventually become an enemy. And the seed of the greatest calamity, in the way of the South. The horse is always butchering. If that's the case, I'd rather be here. His ass is like walking in his stomach. Are you going to beat me up? He was amazed. This bastard. What does this kid have in mind? Middle ass said, maybe we'll see each other more often in the future. Next time I will greet you first. The horse hoisted his fist in great anger. The chicken is back. The disciples also understood the master's anger. The horse quickly left. Middle ass think, why is he in such a hurry? It's lost both lead and fishing. Look at the buttocks thinking. Look at him. Abandoned all the kids in the school. And just leave alone. The old man has no money. Brother in, go to say, middle ass. The buttocks looked surprised. You said I've been working hard. It's like seeing Jang Mun himself. Middle buttocks' eyes seem sad. Be quiet. You feel like you're old. What does the buttock say, master? Suddenly, there was a noise outside. The storm's arrival is being blocked. They were screaming to talk. Human tissue chief, could you please stay and talk to me for a moment? Don T push me, I am standing here first. The traders demanded, Ta, I just want to talk a little bit about the paint business. Come on. Master, just stay a little longer. Someone came forward to say, You're talking about an issue related to SAO transactions. Chairman of Economic and Financial Audit. My brother's eyes lit up. If you do those things, you have to talk to the owners again. It's me. Then he led the merchants away. Please go this way. We have a lot of time today. You don't have to be in such a hurry. Brother in speaking. I have to go see the situation too. Everyone bowed to the master. Someone came up and said, "Can you hold it up for a second?" Someone called the middle butt chief. The middle buttocks were surprised to see the white hair. Why are you here? If you keep running here like that, it's not very religious. The brothers, you must be gritting your teeth right now because of me. Lee Eucalyptus replied, no matter what. It's our relationship. It's already broken in half. I look at the people I beat up. It doesn't seem to be half. People will hate the traitor than the enemy 1,000 times. Chinese cotton is difficult to understand. Let's clean up a little bit. I don't care about that. Lee extorted silver. I came here because I want to thank the mayor. I have only taught the words of others. I can't decide my own path. I couldn't understand that word before. Of the minor director. Lee Si Bok continued, but now, maybe I've understood the mayor's words. We also understand the path we need to take. The Chinese asked, people go back to school, all of that. From a disciple of another sect? Lee Eucalyptus replied, about the religious seeker, it doesn't matter which faction. If there is something to learn, any human being can be their teacher. My ass thinks, oh my God, you're more like a priest than I am. Lee looked at his master. Lee said, you'll feel many things from today's defeat. Chief, be careful. My brother is an outstanding man. Lee eject reminder. Such a person, from now on, we will definitely target the mayor. To practice, he'll get stronger and more terrifying. Lee ejection sighed. That's for sure. It doesn't mean anything to the mayor. The silent ass doesn't know what to say. Chung Myung talks about the journey that the transparency will go. That road will be hard. Middle ass said, the way you're thinking about right now, it's not easy at all. However, you still move on. Lee replied with a sigh. That's right, nothing can cross the eyes of the chief. Lee Si Bok continued, at lower, not because I want to walk that path. He said he was confident. Because that's not the way. I have to go to SAO. If you say that, we will meet again. Let's look at the middle of the road and think. Probably from now on, the general manager will have to fight a lonely battle on his own. The disciples of the South, after arriving, you will never forget the sword of the mountain. And they'll take that magic sword to be the next living goal. The ability to keep the sword of the South. In that flow, it's never easy. Look at that shadow. Go away. Go on. The battle will be difficult and lonely. But if you can do that, maybe at some point, you will become the hope of the South. Cotton jars to call cotton jars. He reminded the master to find him and go there. Surprise me later. Think of the last victory. My ass thinks so. There is no such thing as leaving in peace. You sigh, whatever comes, comes. The buttocks are thinking about how to deal with it. In fact, I am your notebook. No, this is not okay. You think of another idea. Or we can just go. Accidentally picked up the secret and tried this. That sounds funny. The butt sighed. A few steps have arrived. You Ray worried about how to justify it. You just came in. You got a tight scar. Ha 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 ha, cute thing. Brother Thong happily cheeked middle butt, laughing loudly said. Master, this boy is a genius. To live for so many years, never heard of it. You can make money with martial arts. But money doesn't just trickle in. It's pouring in like a flood. Oh, this cute guy. Ha 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 ha. The doctor asked, are you sick? My ass is twisted. I was just grazed. The legend says, to prevent the wound from swelling and pus, after leaving here, go straight to the pharmacy to see why. The legend says, you can't call the doctor on the way. Why did you catch a busy man? Back and forth like that. Surprisingly, you are busy. The legend replied middle buttocks, but also AI. The doctor is not busy with anything. I heard you in the talk. Call the pharmacy owner, the way to go. The disciples obeyed, yes, elder. You in a sigh. Look at the old man who is scratching his cheeks. My ass is still happy. Oh my God, this cute thing. He stood up and called the middle. Follow me a little. Middle butt immediately Lantan run, according to the chief disciple. At the nearby mountain. 2 tons going up the mountain. The buttocks looked up at the elder. Your heart thinks, this is the second time I look at Zhang's back like this. The first time was a person's dark back. You have to lead the painting. Is on the verge of collapse. Stand in front of the door 7. The shadow of his back. It looks much calmer today. A while later, the 2 finally arrive. 2 people to the top. It feels so close to the sun. Big brother in call middle ass. Yes, student leader. Brother in question. This is the highest mountain in Hoa Sun. How do you feel when you climb up here? The buttocks feel it. And he said, too high, and the chief was surprised. That's right, he looked at his ass. I said, tomorrow is on my sword. My heart is afraid, the thought has begun. Think about it, just start. Although I didn't know you'd ask from the beginning. But I've already prepared the answer. We just need to slow down so we don't get messed up. Middle but Raw left the plan first. Not old enough, the chief called the middle butt. Middle ass jerking. Brother in the bow. In the surprised eyes of the middle butt. Thank you. The middle buttocks are amazed to say the head of the subject. Why are you doing this? Why are you bowing? Brother in chief said, I thank you, not as the head of the paint department, but as a man named Hien Tiang. He continued, the flower is a scene that my whole life I really want to see, even just once. Thank you for fulfilling my lifelong wish. Brother in chief continued, but the position of the head of Hoa Sun, it's much more important than kickboxing, so I can't help but ask you. Why can you use 7 swords to make the flower bloom? Looking forward to halting. You squeeze your hand and throw out the plan I wrote on paper. Middle ass said, it's just created naturally. Your boss is naturally surprised. The Chinese replied, yes. Tomorrow flower will bloom when you are too smooth 7 tomorrow sword. You keep talking. So I don't know why that is. Then the buttocks asked, that's not the end. All the sword techniques of Hua-san can do this. Listen to this, elder brother in mind. I am so stupid, right? Because that is the swordplay of Hua-san. Looking at Chung, he thought to himself, the youngest disciple among the third-generation disciples said that it just goes ahead of the others. That means, if others also practice hard, then at some point, plum blossoms will bloom on their swords. His heart was filled with joy. All disciples of Hoa Mountain can make plum blossoms bloom. When that day comes, the era of Hoa paint will be opened again. His heart thought of a plum flower looking for something. Faith in the elder brother in the strong rise. The flower of the plum tree is a word that no one dares to say at this time, and no one in Hoa-san qualified to receive that name. However, the day when all the disciples of Hoa-san can make the plum blossoms bloom, then that name will come back too. Chung Myung suddenly said, although it was still very far away. Looking at his boy laughing heartily, the sect leader said, look how happy you are, you little brat. He said, look, but yes, head disciple. Elder brother asked me, what is Hoa Mountain? Chung Myung said to his son, Hoa-san. He remembered the joke of drawing faces on his brothers. Times of stealing. Times practicing martial arts and punching each other. Times talking to each other. Times hanging out with brothers. He remembered that Chung Bang once asked someone, brother to brother, what is Hoa paint? That person answered me, what is Hoa-san to me? Hoa-san is Hoa-san, what else could it be? Looking forward to smiling, he replied to the Hoa Mountain is Hoa Mountain. Elder brother said, really, if you are a disciple of Hoa-san, then that is enough, right? The head continued, only after today's events. Even if you want to stay put, the world will not let you love. The world is like that. He said, can I cope with all that? Chung Myung confidently replied, if I couldn't stand it, I wouldn't have started. Elder brother in reply, so that's it. If you think so, Hoa-san will protect you. The head said, all the things you have to endure me and Hoa-san. He said confidently, we will help you stop them. Look forward to thinking, even though he wanted to ask me a lot of things. But he just said he would protect me. Look at the person in front of the American sect leader. Although compared to me, he has no reputation. But he still makes us respect and acknowledge. Chung Myung said, Master, you don't need to protect me. He also said confidently, we are just walking together. Under the name Hoa-san only. Elder brother said, I really hope someday can talk to children more. Chung Myung replied like that. He looked at the sky as if looking at the future. At some point, everyone was having fun that night. Ha, we really won the South. The brothers were happily painting together. Brother, do you see my sword play? Nam did not have time to react. Ha, stop it, brother. You're exaggerating. Yogu looked at everyone happily and said to Chun Bang, I cannot sleep. Yoga continued. Just close your eyes. Again the sword flickered. But it is not called enchantment. He was pensive. He didn't know how to explain. As it is. Chung Myung was surprised that this kid felt the same way. Chung Myung's heart thought, "At first, I thought it was just because I was too excited for the win. But when the excitement subsides, what remains in memory is not victory, but the image of that sword." How to describe this? Remember that seeing Chung Myung means illusion moon. Chun Cotton looks at his hand. If this hand can perform that wild sword move. Yogan asked at some point, we can also perform sword path. Like that, right? This Gunbeard. Flower Pot said, I don't know, should I say this? As the third generation great disciple. Or not, but honestly. I just wanted to become stronger. I never thought I would reach any level. Or want to practice any sword technique. I just vaguely want to be stronger. Chung Myung continued, but when I saw him perform that sword technique, I thought so, I also wanted like that. But clenched hand determined. I want to practice that sword technique with his own hands. Chung Myung looked at everyone and laughed. Maybe all the third generation disciples are thinking the same thing. Because it's been a few years. But it's only now that we're new to witness the real sword of the painting. To ask me if at some point, will we be able to develop that sword? Chian But speaks confidently. I believe that will happen. Because we are the disciples of the flower. There is nothing wrong with painting. You can't use the sword of a cat. Yogan is happy to hear these words. You are right about Hua-sun's sword. Suddenly, my ass kicked the door out. What's right? My ass came in and said, who's playing for you guys here to celebrate? So happy and warm again? Go ahead and talk. If I were you, I'd be confused by now. I don't know if I should swing my sword 1,000 times, or climbing 100 more times. To win $1 billion battle, then your lives are over. China's loud voice scares everyone. Or you don't want to live anymore. Middle ass said, disciples of the people decided to just walk the rough road. To rediscover the roots of his sect. And you are rejoicing. Just to win the kids. I lost you to 5 years old. Are you yelling at everyone? They're still kids now. How young were they 2 years ago? Maybe someone at the time, he cracked his nose in his heart. And you're beaten up by those kids. Beaten up by those kids. Chun Cotton said, it's true that we're a little flawed. But the results are not good. What happens in real life is a matter of course. My face turned upside down when I heard these words. You scream. He was stabbed by his opponent and laughed. I was too careless and came back. Training activities. It's so there's no negligence in combat. And then negligence is a matter of course. Chinese Cotton continued, because you keep thinking like that. That's why it's a big fight today. What else? You fake a joke. To some point. Can we use that sword? My ass screams out to everyone. I've never had fun winning a billion martial arts match like this. Sometime it will come. The nearest Yogan could only cry. I miss you so much. Look at your ass pointing at everyone. Don't be so happy and sad. Now we've only tried once. You will have to touch it later. And fight countless more times. Until I look back, you'll see this is nothing. Listen, people, just keep quiet. Chun asked, if we really work as hard as we're told, we will also use that sword. Right? The buttocks turned back. Looks like you're wrong about something. Your eyes are burning and screaming. That sword, it's not whether you want to do it or not. That you have to do. You think, I will leave it alone for those who call themselves disciples of the flower. You can't use a sword to bloom a flower. It's amazing to hear that. Middle ass said, so I can't even get my ass out. Train me now. I heard that. Everybody's rushing out. The middle buttock said that everyone rushed out to practice. The middle butt sighed thinking, you can't get so excited. Now, that's just the first step. If you can regain confidence, that's a good thing. But it will be unfortunate if that confidence turns into arrogance. You realize. He turned to the door and asked what the people were doing. A person comes out. Come forward to say, I came because I have something to tell you. Obviously suggest, you can come with me for a moment. Two people to a place deep in the forest. My ass sat down on the rock and said, my feet. Looking middle butt massaged feet white heaven heart thought. He acts like a middle-aged man. Even though he is young. White sky open words, thank you for your time for me. Middle buttocks replied, God doesn't need to thank me. Even though you are the same person. My ass just punched my leg and said, but what's wrong with you taking me to this remote place? You're going to hit me like that. White sky said, I saw your fight with Kim Long. I was completely overwhelmed. The middle buttocks have to say that. White sky continued, all of your impulses are wavering. White sky said, it's different from the initial excitement. Now their minds are very complicated. Middle butt said what he finally wanted to say. Don't mess around. Just say it straight away. The sky was silent for a second. I told my ass I want to be strong. White sky continued, I don't know if you're good or not. When you are an impulse, it's not easy either. When you open your mouth and tell me this, but no matter what you think, then this is also the best way. White sky continued, is not. I don't believe the teachings of the old masters. But whatever it is, what we can learn from them, it's different from what we can learn from you. More important, although I don't want to admit it. But we're very worried about. I will be inferior to the third generation disciples. The buttocks heard this and asked. The suggestion is, I don't care about self-respect anymore. And ask me, he taught the master and the disciples of the second generation. That's right, Bai Tian replied. They asked me why I had to do that. It's a bit of a surprise, obviously. Middle butt continues, I told you last time. It's just more trouble to do that. There's no benefit to us. We don't need. What are you going to do with all that trouble? White sky said, but we are fellow disciples. We are fellow disciples. Middle ass said, the doctor urged, the Lord will take his time to teach the third life disciples. SAO training. White sky doesn't know what to say. White sky said, if you thought that, then I have no reason to teach the third generation disciples. And I'm still teaching them. Why? Let's go back and see what happens at SAO. The clarity of thought. Why does it refuse to accept second generation disciples, but accept the third generation disciple? Blatantly uttered the words, you want to make me a pervert. Middle ass flashing hand facial.